on, I look like an egg. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Don't mind the echo, just like all my other previous videos. It's just temporary. Anyway, so today I'm filming a look that I am so excited for because I'm kind of taking it a little old school. If you guys remember, about maybe 6 months ago, I used to do a lot of videos here on my channel where I would actually film my makeovers on other people. For those of you who don't know me or are new to my channel, I am also a freelance makeup artist. Aside from my YouTube channel, I have my freelancing business. And it seems that you guys really like to see me do makeup on other people, which I also really love to see other makeup artists, you know, show their talent and their skills, because you can learn new things all the time from other makeup artists. So I asked you guys on Snapchat and you all were so excited for me to do a prom look on someone else. So that is what we're going to be doing today. And another twist to this tutorial is that this is all going to be using affordable makeup. So the reason why I decided to do an affordable makeup prom tutorial is because I know there's a lot of you out there who are going to prom yourselves, and maybe you couldn't hire a makeup artist, maybe the person you wanted was booked, who knows what it could be. Or maybe you yourself are gonna start doing makeup on others and you kind of want a tutorial that's, you know, not gonna be using only expensive products which you don't have in your kit maybe just yet, or maybe this is like your first go at a tutorial, so you kind of want something that's gonna look really nice and glam, but not super complicated as well. So I'm wanting this to be a very beginner-friendly, affordable prom makeup tutorial. So I hope you guys like it. Without further ado, let's begin. Ooh, really quickly before I go, don't forget to thumbs up this video if you like it. Also, if you're subscribed to my channel, make sure you go and click the little bell next to subscribe. That way you are notified whenever I have new uploads. And don't forget, you can always follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. Links are down below. All right, now for real, let's get started.
So here is my lovely model for this look. I wanted to keep this as realistic as possible. So she is actually a senior in high school. So we got an actual prom candidate here. So to start off, I'm first be spraying the Pixi Hydrating Milky Mist on her skin just to let it soak and hydrate as we begin her eye makeup. If you guys know my channel, know how I like to do makeup on clients, you guys know that I love to start off with the eyes first, just because I feel like for me, it gives a better application of foundation and concealer. It makes things a lot cleaner. I am going to be at first using the LA Girl Creamy Beige Concealer as an eye base. It does dry matte and it doesn't crease, and since it is a concealer, it covers and cancels out any discoloration on the eyelid. For the eyeshadows, I'm using the Morphe 35R palette, and I'm starting off with just a light taupe shade right in her crease with a large fluffy brush, also from Morphe. And I'm working this first on the outer corner and then gradually working my way in and just layering as I go. It's always best to start off with lighter colors or a light application of color before trying to go in with a really heavy application. I'm then taking a shade that's a little bit warmer and going to be layering that right on top. And then you're just going to see me gradually start to layer these colors right on top of each other. I personally love layering because one, I feel like it creates a nicer blend, and two, it really gets you to that depth of like a dark shadow that you're trying to go for rather than trying to go with just a dark shadow all at once. So if you're really wanting to achieve that nice smoky gradual eye, nice smoky gradient eye, you guys know what I'm trying to say, then definitely try layering your colors first. That way you're not left with like a patchy dark shadow only, if that makes sense. By the way, this is all still using the same brush, same circular motions, and I'm just kind of connecting overhead on the crease, going from the inner corner to the outer corner, connecting in the crease. And you want to take your time with blending, definitely. That way you can make sure everything just melts right together. I'm then going to be taking this shimmer color on a flat brush. This is not a flat shader brush. It just kind of has a little bit of fluff to it. And I'm just pressing this onto the center of her eyelid. And I'm using just the edges of my brush to just kind of pat out the edges of the ball of the eye, just so it doesn't look like we have a sparkly circle in the center. You want this to be like a little gradual shimmer right in the middle. For liner, we're not doing a fancy wing or anything like that. I'm taking my NYX black gel liner and just lining the top line of her upper lashes just to thicken those lashes slightly. I'm then taking a flat shader brush to just smudge the liner ever so slightly because I didn't want just a clean line. I want this to be a little bit more of a smoky effect. So we're just going to be rubbing that right up against on top of that liner. Now I'm taking some Equate. These are just similar to the Neutrogena wipes. And I'm just going to be cleaning up the outer edge of her eyeshadow and then just cleaning up whatever fallout fell onto the under eye area so it doesn't mess with the concealer. For primer, since she does have combination skin and some texture on her cheeks, we are using the NYX Pore Filler. This will smooth out any texture. It also helps mattify the skin slightly, but it doesn't mattify to the point of extreme dryness. For foundation, we'll be using the Milani Conceal and Perfect mixed with a little bit of the Maybelline strobing liquid in the gold tone. And I'm using a Morphe foundation brush. It's not a flat top kabuki, it's just a round top kabuki brush. And I'm pressing the foundation into the skin. If it's one tip I can give about foundation is pressing it on the skin is a lot more effective than just rubbing it on the skin. It creates a fuller coverage and a longer lasting effect. For concealer, I'm using that LA Girl Creamy Beige once again to highlight her forehead, to broaden it a little bit more down the bridge of her nose, cupid's bow, chin, and under eye area, because we're going to draw a lot of brightness to the center of her face and also just a little bit along her laugh lines. I'm then going to be using a damp Real Technique sponge to blend this out. Using a damp sponge is really good to create that airbrush effect, but again, you have to be patting it onto the skin and make sure it is damp with all the excess water squeezed out. For contouring, I'm going to be using the LA Girl Concealer in Beautiful Bronze, just slightly contouring. You don't have to put so much product on the skin, especially if you're working on a younger client. You want that definition, but just very so slightly. And you also just want to, I personally want to do the cream contouring for longevity reasons, not so much for like facial reconstruction, if that makes sense. I'm then just going to be blending out the cheek and jaw with a brush before blending out the nose with that damp Real Technique sponge again, just to create that softer effect. No harsh lines, no strong nose contour, nothing like that. It gives that definition, but it's not in your face. For setting, we're not baking. I'm really pulling away from the baking method these days because I've really been liking this method. I'm taking my RCMA No Color Powder, picking it up with the damp beauty sponge, and just pressing it into the concealer, into the skin, to the point where you can't see the powder anymore. It just sets it so beautifully. Then to set everything else, I'm going to be using the NYX Pro palette in the yellow shade to set the under eye and center of the face, before bronzing up and setting the contour with the Morphe NBZ palette and a large powder brush. I bronze the typical areas. For the forehead though, since she doesn't have a very broad forehead, we are just lightly dusting it with color just to make it come alive, not to have it be ashy. I'm then going to be using that same brush we used to blend out the contour to use Sculpt from the NYX palette just to define the back part of her natural hollow of the cheek. Again, we're not going for an extreme contour, we're just going for a light sculpt here. We're also going to be just redefining the nose slightly. Again, this is more just for setting the contour, not really to chisel out any further. Another great tip is to take some more of your translucent powder and just kind of carve out and clean up any of the contouring that you did do. This will also set that area underneath the contour that we didn't pay too much attention to with setting with powder. While that is baking and cleaning up, we're going to be taking the e.l.f. Illuminating palette, and I'm using this shade to highlight the tops of her cheekbones. Again, I'm using mostly Morphe brushes in this tutorial. I don't have the exact names with me right now. I'll try my best to see if I can get them all listed in the description box. I'm then taking a much smaller brush and just putting a little bit of glow on the tip of the nose and also down the bridge of the nose. And then I'm also going to be taking that right onto the cupid's bow. I also like to just kind of massage it in with my finger just so we don't have any heavy powder sitting on top and it all just gets kind of rubbed into the foundation. For blush, I am using the e.l.f. blush palette in the light colors, and I'm taking that really rosy color and just really applying this onto the apples of her cheek. If you guys know me, I don't really care for a lot of blush. I think though on a more, on a younger client, it gives a really youthful appearance to have really rosy cheeks. So I was focusing more on the apples more so than just trying to put a flush of color. Now for the brows, this is one part of the application that I could not find a drugstore alternative that I was wanting to use or that I felt comfortable using. So this is the Anastasia brow powder in dark brown. And I'm just lining the base of her brows first, creating a really nice strong base so it helps fill in any sparse areas, any gaps. You can also elongate the tail of the brow a little bit. And then I'm just taking no more excess powder onto the brush. I'm just using the baseline and I'm pushing up that product, especially at the beginning of the brow, just to fill it in and give that more natural look and get that gradient effect from light to dark. Then towards the tail of the brow, we will fill in a little extra as we see fit. I'm then taking that creamy beige concealer and just cleaning up the baseline and then just making sure to buff out any concealer that you can still see so there's no globs, just a smooth transition. I'm then taking the Essence Brow Gel in the Make Me Brow formula and I am just brushing up her brow hairs, brushing them up and out to create a fuller effect. I'm then going to be taking one of the darker colors we used in her crease and a Morphe smudge brush, and I'm just going to be pushing this up against the root of her bottom lashes. And we're just going to be going in like reverse order here. So with the eyes on the top lid, we started off with light colors and gradually went to darker colors. For the bottom part, we're going to start off with dark colors and then gradually go to lighter colors. And I'm just going to smoke this out as much as possible. I just wanted this to be a really smoky, soft effect. So I'm using a variation of different brushes as well to get that effect. And then for the inner corner highlight, I'm taking that same brush we used for the nose and I'm doing my best to rub that shimmery color right onto her tear duct because I feel like the more you rub it on, the better of a pop it gives. I'm also going to be taking that same shade and applying it right underneath the arch of her brow bone. Just the arch, I don't like to apply it all the way across. For her lashes, I am prepping them for mascara, and for falsies, I am using the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer on her bottom lashes. If you are doing your own makeup, I would suggest to do your mascara first because it does create your eyelashes to be a little bit more thicker, so it gives a better landing strip, if you will, for your false lashes. Now, if you are doing makeup on someone else, then what I normally like to do is do the falsies first and then apply mascara, since the mascara will help kind of bond and blend the real lashes into the false lashes. But it's up to you. Either way, it works great. For lashes, we're going to be using the Vegas Eylure in Beautiful Bronze after I have trimmed them to her eye, and I did use my House of Lashes Dark Tone Adhesive. Let it sit for about a minute and then I'm applying them. I like to anchor the center first and then anchor the inner and outer corners. I decided to add a little bit of eyeliner on her bottom waterline. I'm using Mr. Bing from Colourpop. It's just a light, rich, warm brown. And I wanted to do this because her eyes are so beautiful, so big, that I felt like adding a little bit of more drama to them wouldn't close them off. If you are working with someone who has smaller eyes, then maybe I would go with a nude liner. This will help open up the eyes a little bit more. But she had the large, beautiful brown eyes, and I decided that this would be a really nice smoky effect to give to the look. Again, this is totally optional. You could leave the bottom waterline completely undone if you would like. For lips, I wanted to go with the nude because I personally love nudes. This look, though, is very universal. You can use whatever shade you want. I'm using one of the nudes from the Maybelline matte collection, and I'm applying this all over her lips before topping it off with a color that I thought was super pretty. It was actually my first time using it, and it worked beautifully. So get ready to mark this shade. We're going to be topping off this matte lipstick with the Shine Shot from Maybelline, and this has like a holographic effect to it. So when you apply it on top of any lip color, really, it creates this really cool three-dimensional look, and I think it complemented this nude shade really, really well. At first it looks kind of flat, but with this gloss on top, I felt like it just revived the lip color. It brought it to life. So I personally was so impressed with this, and we both were actually. She really liked the way the color came out. Then to set everything off, I'm using my Pixi Makeup Fixing Mist just to spray all over. This is pretty good for combination skin. And you guys, this is the completed look. So we went from a blank beautiful canvas already to a nice prom look, and I hope this was easy enough to recreate at home, and I hope it's easy enough for either doing makeup on yourself or on someone else for their prom. I hope this tutorial you find helpful. I hope to do more of these client videos. coming up because I really miss doing them, and I think I'm finally back in that position to do them again. So if you guys want to see more of these, make sure to thumbs up this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.